Another chapter's out, and we're seeing the start of Sato's comeback, or we're seeing TJ Sensei play with our emotions again. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, Bruce Deathmatch Anime here. Hope you're doing well. I am, because we got another chapter of Domino Ace Act 2, Chapter 246, and I got one ran from my computer, so I'm doing pretty well today. Hope you are too. Now, we did leave off last chapter with Kuramochi, Cheetah-Sama, Delinquent General, all of them getting on base with this hit, and we're picking up now this chapter with the showdown between Haruchi and Kosei of Ichidai 3rd, right? We are kind of progressing the story now towards the climax. We've seen Saramura's growth and his peak as a pitcher towards, his Superman level. So now I think TJ Sensei is moving the train along towards the end of the line here. Forgive the pun about the train, but it's the best way I can describe it, is where it's picking up steam, right? We need to see the batters, like I've mentioned in the past couple of reviews, we need to see the batters on the offensive. We need to see their growth and their potential, because you can't get through Koshin, you can't get through tournaments in baseball with just pitching. You do need to score. So I'm wondering if TJ Sensei is going to show us the evolution of their batters in Sato, or some people have theorized they lose this tournament, which would be kind of odd because you have a perfect mix of the first years up to the third years like Miyuki and Kuramochi, right? It'd be hard-pressed for me to imagine going to Act 3 with Saramura and Furia as third years. Just in general, the Daiya Ace, as much as I love the manga, it has been going on a while. I'm hard-pressed to think if they go to an Act 3 for the sake of third years. But Daiya Ace is a kind of slow-burning manga. It is a slow-burning baseball tale. And Major had 17 different damn iterations. So maybe they could, but more to the point, where I think this is the start of the ball rolling on Sato's batters getting scores and runs on Kosei, and I'll get into this chapter on Kosei's condition and why I think TJ Sensei's starting his ascent towards making Sato win this match and progressing into the tournament. I think this is the start, like I said, their comeback, their victory, I think is the start of this chapter. But the focus of this chapter is not the victory or Kosei or Saramura or any of that. It is the stars of this chapter are, of course, Haruchi and Kuramochi, the 1 and 2 holes, the Keystone Duo. And we see Haruchi's brother, Komanito-san, in the stands watching him this whole match. So I think TJ Sensei is also building up this chapter and the past chapter and next chapter, so 3 chapters total, of showing the Keystone Duo is ready for Koshin. They are ready for nationals. They are ready to take their place as the best duo in the country. I think that is what these 3 chapters, previous, this one, next, are going to show. So the main synopsis of this chapter is Kuramochi's legs and his base stealing ability combined with Haruichi's batting ability, and how that will fare against ace pitchers like Kosei. So we remember, right, that Kuramochi was caught off guard. I almost said taken advantage of, but it's more caught off guard the first time around when he tried to steal. Kosei tricked him and got him out, got a based out. So, and since then, Kuramochi's made it his mission to get him back, right? So, Kuramochi is on base, and this chapter is really showing us how the 1 and 2 holes fare against high-level pitchers, because, right, high-level pitchers know when you're going to steal, how your condition is, what you're going to do, and tips and tricks to get you out at base. They've seen it before, right? And the thing with this chapter is, how does base stealing work in later rounds? Because we see a lot of commentary on Kuramochi's condition while he's on base before he steals. We see them talk about how your legs do make you run, but your mind affects your condition. I think I butchered that a little bit, but basically it's saying you might be tired, but if you're focused and the adrenaline's pumping and your mind's razor sharp, you can let your body move, right? You can make your body get up and go when you need it to, even if your physical condition is tired. And we see if Haruchi can, as the second hole, it's not just about connecting to the cleanups, it's also about putting pressure on the pitchers and assessing their condition and making them kind of their mental state kind of not dull, but it's putting pressure on them to the point where when they do connect to the cleanups, they can't really focus, or they're tired from the previous at-bat. We see Komanito-san and his older brother in the stands kind of commenting that Haruchi is a different offensive type than he is. Haruchi is a batter who has great bat control and is good at placing shots in where he wants so that he can advance the play, not just get to the play at hand and with the one hole on base, or potentially the 9 hole if that happens. But let's think about it with like right now, Kuramochi is on base. The two hole for Sato right now, Haruchi, his job is to get Kuramochi home and also connect to the cleanup. And we know he can do that because of his excellent bat control. So Kaminuto kind of discusses that. And more on the topic of Kuramochi and his base stealing, we see the coach kind of say, same as always, if you have a chance to steal the base smartly, do it. Don't hesitate. We're not playing it safe. We're going for it. So that's also something that Kuramochi is thinking about and considering when he's running. So that is the synopsis of the chapter. In terms of new developments in this chapter, there is one in terms of new development is the wrong word. I guess we do see a development between Kosei's condition and how Saromura is affecting his team with his condition. Because at first it might seem like Kosei is tired, and I've noted that if you hit off him and getting hits off him kind of shows his conditions lowering, but in actuality I think TJ Sensei mentions in the chapter, via exposition, that Kosei is actually reaching into a higher gear because he's using the height of the zone, and we see him throwing more controlled pitches even though there are a few balls in there, but his strikes are using the full breadth and the inside, so he's being more aggressive, and we see him switching into that higher level gear. So now we're seeing that, again, climax of the match. We're seeing a battle of wills and a battle of technique and how you're affecting your team between Saromura and Kosei. Because Haruichi comments that he's never felt more on fire, I guess, more in tune, more excited to be behind Saromura than today. Obviously, Saromura's killing it, so Haruichi is receiving those feelings of intensity into his batting, into his play, and we're probably going to see that the rest of the batting lineup is just Saromura's feelings and how well he's playing, and the team wants to reciprocate that. That's why I mentioned so much about seeing what TJ Sensei is going to do with the batters, because I want to see if they can evolve with him too. But I did want to mention that new development, I was sort of wrong. I thought Kosei was going to get hit off a bunch. I thought he was going to be worse, or like just show kind of decline, when in reality he's getting more serious. It's just there's more balls, and people do get hits off pitchers later in innings. If you can figure out their timing, it happens. But I'm liking that they kind of mentioned that he's using the zone more and he's throwing more inside pitchers. I thought that was an interesting kind of explanation of what's going on with the pitching. Something I did correctly call, though, I have correctly called, was I knew this chapter was going to end on some sort of cliffhanger with like a hit. A hit was going to happen, but it's going to be like ambiguous, like did it go or what's going to happen. I thought it was going to happen with Miyuki for some reason. I always overestimate like how fast these chapters are going to go, but I'm really glad TJ Sensei did take his time with this chapter. I loved every panel. I loved every page. I had to stare at it for a few seconds to kind of analyze every page and enjoy it. But we do see Haruichi get a hit, and it goes through the infielders, but the outfielders came in, so they should be able to catch up to the ball before Kuramochi scores. But obviously, TJ Sensei left on a cliffhanger. Will it get through in time for Kuramochi's legs to carry him? But my prediction is no, because the news reporter, the short guy, did comment that his start was slow when he stole the base this chapter. So I have a feeling he's not going to be fast enough to get to home plate, and we're going to have another agonizing out. And we're gonna see Sato not score still with this. I think that's what's gonna happen, because I think that little nugget of like he started slow is foreshadowing to what Kuramochi is gonna do. He's gonna get out, even though he's gonna make the effort. And obviously the outfielders, like I said, are in. So I have correctly predicted the end of this chapter, but my prediction was off with who it was. It was Haruichi, not Miyuki. But I think next chapter, that is, I've already said my prediction. I think Kuramochi's going to get out. I think Haruichi's going to be fine, but I think Kuramochi's going to be out because he's going to try and shoot for home plate and get out there. Or, what might be more interesting, at least for me, is I can't imagine him doing this, but it'd be a real telling if he made it to third base, but he was just tired. Like I said, he started slow. Maybe he's just tired, and the outfielders get to it, and they throw it, and he just stops. that might be a little more interesting, showing that, you know, his usual cheetah speed is kind of handicapped, or at least it's fatigued. That might be a little more interesting for me personally, but I think the logical thing that's going to happen is he's going to try and steal the third base, go to home, and not steal third base. He's going to try and steal home plate, get to it before the outfielders can get to him, but he's going to get out. That's my prediction for next chapter. My personal thoughts on this chapter, like I mentioned previously, great chapter. Like, every chapter has been good. I haven't had any complaints about this match so far, but this chapter was just really, really well constructed. I really liked every panel, and I really liked every page, because it took me a second, not to read, but I read it, slowed down a second, read it again, and then a third time before moving on. And I really got to say, guys, I'm really loving making YouTube videos about manga right now, because I used to speed blitz through all my manga. I read it, but I didn't really sit on panels unless they were really breathtaking, right? Really, the artwork was great. It was really striking payoff, but I didn't take the time to analyze chapters. And while that can be fatiguing for a lot of manga, if I did it for every manga I ever read, it's made me appreciate more manga and making me take my time with reading, and especially Diamond no Ace, one of my favorite series, if not my favorite series. It's made me take the time and appreciate the artwork of TJ Sensei and his writing and his pacing and his storyboarding. So just wanted to point that out. I've really been enjoying this, guys, and I've really been enjoying reading manga this way. It's really amplified my experience with it. And like I said, that's my personal thoughts. Great chapter, great artwork, great pacing, storyboarding. TJ Sensei is a master at his storyboarding, in my opinion, his panel work. I had to take my time with this chapter, and I really enjoyed that. That's all for this week's chapter, guys. I will have another. I'm really liking the support on my Mukai Teo video. I appreciate you guys looking at that, giving me feedback on that, enjoying it. I do want to make my next picture, might not be who you expect, but I think I'm going to have another one out this week for another picture to talk about. But I don't want to I will spoil a little bit. It's not going to be Kosei, because I kind of want to wait till the match is over to talk about him. Whether it win or loss, I want to talk about him after the match, but I will have another picture discussion coming out. I do have that Aoashi video coming out soon. I've been real busy this week, guys. Apologies. Bear with me, but that video is coming out. I do want to make a Blue Lock video that is more of a discussion video, not a chapter review. That'll come out soon, but I am working on things. I'm working on different projects with sports manga. If you notice on my channel that I do cover other shonen series, but I think I'm just going to condense that to one piece. I will talk about Black Clover more, because I do like that. I like Jujutsu Kaisen as well. But I think I'm going to wait until there's a good solid chunk of chapters out, then review them as a whole instead of week to week, because I noticed that my sports manga content does do better. And personally, I'll be transparent, I was a little worried about my niche, throwing myself into my niche of sports manga. I was like, it's not going to, people don't care about that, you know, they don't want to see that, because I want to interact with the community, but I didn't know if the community would respond well to me, but you guys have wonderfully, and I really appreciate it. So I'm going to be throwing myself a little more into my niche, into my sports manga content, with my shonen content being limited to bulk chapter reviews and just One Piece weekly reviews, because I do love One Piece. I do love talking about it, love the community, all of it. So I'm going to keep it to that, but yeah, expect more sports manga content overall, guys. I'm going to throw myself into this niche that I have found and loved so far. So just want to thank you guys for your support and kind of update you on what I'm doing with my channel. And always, guys, if you like the video, drop a like, subscribe to the channel for more Diamond no Ace content, for more sports manga content. I really appreciate it, guys. Later.